So you find a place for Galvin to hole up,
Uh-huh.
and it seems like it's going to be the two of you heading out on brooms.
Echo and Calder heading out of her. Hey,
A classic
Echo?
Echo and Calder mess about.
Echo is on the back of Calder's broom, so we are sharing a broom.
Oh my God.
Just to make.
We both have brooms.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Echo doesn't pull his out and he clambers on the back of yours.
This is just an excuse. This is just an excuse to just cuddle up to me, isn't it?
Yep, totally. That is the only, like, Echo is looking up at the clouds and around, like, keeping an eye out for any manticores. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cuddles, hugs.
So let's talk a little bit about the return to the Bouldershoulder encampment. You will notice a couple of things right away. First off, as you come closer to the encampment, you'll see that it has expanded. Not a lot, because you haven't been gone that long, but
like a day.
You do notice that the ranks of the defenders seem to be swelling, and there is a visible line of soldiers marching kind of from the direction of Mirabar into the camp. You also note that the circus tents are not gone, but are collapsed, as though they are being packed up as you approach. So there's a lot of, that sort of smell of new trees knocked down and moved out of the way, and earth. And as you sort of come down into the encampment, folks notice you, and there's a lot of folks sort of straightening up. There's fist to the heart salutes. There are even a few scattered cheers as you make your way over the encampment toward ...
It's just the two. I wonder if he's going to be worried that two people died.
Oh. Echo will blow a kiss to whoever cheered.
Showman to the end. So where are the two of you headed precisely?
We're showmen. We're going to make a big splashy entrance right in front of the king's tent.
Yeah, the last place we knew was like kind of the war tent, strategy tent, yeah.
So you make your way down there. There is kind of a little bit of a crowd gathering. You land in front of the war tent, and you are approached, let's say, by Sven.
Hey!
Just the dwarf I want to talk to.
Who nods, smiles at you, and says, I will take you to the new war tent. It does not make a great deal of sense to remain in one place for too long in times like these.
Totally. You haven't seen Merryweather, have you? Come through here?
I'm sorry, who?
Thomas, the human we were hanging out with the other day.
Oh, him. No, okay. I've not seen him.
That's fine.
Not since he left with you.
That's cool. That's fine.
I'm sure it's fine.
If you'll come with me.
Mm-hmm. Follow him wherever he goes.
So he takes you to a sort of nondescript soldier's tent. It's larger than the rest, but it's in an area with sort of more communal tents, so it still fits in quite nicely. And it looks like just another one of many, many identical tents. And you enter, and there are already a large number of people in the room talking sort of animatedly. And the first thing you notice is there is a scarred, armored dwarf that is standing in front of Anton, and kind of with his entire height in front of him. And he says something like, "You should not be saying bad things about me, brother." And when he says that, you notice another oddity in the tent, which is standing next to the scarred dwarf is another shorter dwarf in long green robes and a bright green beard that is braided, looped up over his ears, and tied into the braid on the back of his head that goes down his back. And he repeats, "Me, brother."
Oh no. That's an out of character. Oh no.
Hey, Anton, you didn't die!
Anton looks up, looks down, and looks for a moment almost relieved as he sort of walks around the scarred dwarf and
Calder
says,
will subtly. Calder will put his hand, will cover his left hand in a gesture that's probably quite subtle.
"Ah, I see you've returned, and none too soon. We were able to. I was just telling the king how we were able to cut off the food supply of the orcish army, and he looks. He sort of gestures to some what look like pastries in the middle of the table, that look like, I don't know, little pies. They've been feeding them with these, but it won't be an issue any longer. Their machinery has been destroyed."
It was
Very good.
machines?
It
Not
was. It was machinery turning blighted pumpkins into whatever these are.
Okay, that doesn't sound real.
Blighted pumpkins?
He pulls
Oh.
out.
Wait. Were they like crawling around and like
Were they
attacking you?
Were they shooting thorns?
Yes and no, respectively. We did have to defeat a large mound of plant creatures, but
Okay,
none of them
that
shot
makes-
anything at us. No.
Okay, that makes sense. We've been dealing with the plant blights for some time now, and I know you will very rarely hear this from me, Anton. I understand I understand whatever frustrations you went through.
For just a moment, for the first time possibly ever, a quick look of understanding passes between these two brothers.
Yeah, fuck those things.
Very, very fast. But also fuck you too. But also fuck those things.
Yeah, fuck them in particular, but still fuck you.
Wait, does that mean that... Do you think they were just opportunistically using the blight, or are they connected to it further?
Well, we do know that he's partnered with some sort of nature entity.
My bard was able to identify some sort of ritual whatever, but we were unable to determine what exactly it did. There was something in the area that was drawing in energy or some such.
And you stopped it completely? Completely?
We destroyed the food supply, as was our mission.
Well, congratulations.
Good job.
I am very proud of you, brother.
It was at great personal cost. I lost one of my favorite magical items, so I do hope that I will be suitably recompensed.
Don't forget about the unicorn.
Oh no, he'll hold on to that little nugget for a moment.
So we're only waiting to report our success to the king.
Ah, yes. And
Echo is just like blatantly staring at this green-bearded dwarf.
the green-bearded dwarf will blatantly stare directly back with a kind of vacuous smile on his face.
You wouldn't, excuse me. I don't believe I've had the pleasure.
Oh, yes. The scarred dwarf, who has been still eyeing the back of Anton's head, strides forward, stepping in front of Anton.
I like this guy already.
Extends his hand and says, "The pleasure is all mine, Ivan Bouldershoulder, and this is me brother Peikel." And Peikel says, "Me brother."
Peikel.
Well,
Ivan and
I am
Peikel.
I am Calder Creed, the youngest brother of that one. Please don't hold that against. Please do not hold that against.
So until you say that, for a moment, his face sours. Then you crack the joke, and the smile comes back.
I'm
If
Echo.
it makes you feel any better, we hate each other's guts. Isn't that right, Anton?
I would never do something so base as to hate one of my siblings, but you do occasionally frustrate me.
That's polite for yes.
I really like your hair. We kind of match. Echo speaking to Peikel.
He looks at you and he smiles and he goes, "Ooh, wait."
You Okay, I had just to get something out of the way. Your brother is not in any way associated with the big convent of druids thing. The green, I just need to make sure.
You say the word druid, and Pykel turns to Ivan and says, "Doodad." And Ivan sort of motions to him and says, "I know that me brother steps away for times, and I don't ask or care where he goes when he does. So I would not know one way or the other. He is very much a druid, however, and he will not let anybody take him or take that away from him.
But you honor respect, and protect your brother and his reputation.
Always have.
And I can respect that.
And that of our how many times removed cousin? And
I was
Barnabas,
gonna ask.
and Barnabas, who was sort of absorbed in things, looks up and looks around and suddenly realizes there are more people there than he realized. He was sort of deep in his musings. He looks up and he looks around and he says, introductions, yes. He stands up, sort of works out a crick in his back. I see you've already met my cousins, Ivan, Pykel. They come from the kingdom of the Battlehammers. Ivan says, King Brunner is not interested in sending forces for something that he says, and this is a direct quote, is no concern of his. He's grown conservative in his years, but that would not stop me or my brother from coming and helping out a cousin in need.
Politics.
Pykel kind of like reaches back behind his ear and scratches a little bit in a gesture that's very, very canine for a moment.
Everybody's fine. Kreitha and Vic are just still at the forge.
We do have some positive news to report, but my brother was here first. He should have first right.
Anton has made his report. We have seen these things they've been using. Sven tells me they have something similar to the a food creation spell, such as Goodberry, and he looks around and says, "Is Kreitha not with you?"
No, they're back at the forge still.
Yes.
Vic,
yes.
Keeping the place locked down, secured, all that.
So you were able to secure the forge?
More than that, we have secured a possible means of entry.
Also, got you a cool alliance with the Black Dragon. Night Scale's on board.
His shoulders visibly drop, and he takes a deep breath and releases what sounds like the stress of ages with one great exhalation. So there's some good news at least.
He has some caveats, but he is willing to cooperate.
Will he fight for us?
He really wants these orcs off of the mountain, so he is keen on that common goal.
And he is not yet willing to move, but will appreciate time if that proves necessary. Whatever future arrangement is reached between you to coordinate with that scale is a problem for a future day, but for removing the orcs, he is on our side.
And you seem to be pretty cool with Thraxus, so
Good.
Thraxus.
Good. Traxus.
Traxus.
Very well. I believe I have time for a full report before I must move on to the 10,000 other things that I have occupying my time. You have noticed, of course, that I'm now billeting nearly twice the soldiers I was when you left.
Yes.
Yeah. Mirabar sent forces. That's amazing.
It
and
turned out being only a few miles away from only a short march away from the battlefield was a motivation to create a conscription.
Sven.
Yes.
Carl will pull out some parchment and hand it to him. I think you'll know what this means.
He opens it up, big smile on his face, like
it's the runes of the teleportation circle.
Yeah, and he begins babbling about how incredible Anduril's rune work is. I'm not going to say the thing specifically because I don't have the geeky language involved, but yes, he will immediately begin like, oh, look at the swirls on that particular symbol, Andrew, what a genius. So he is able to recognize who the mage is just by essentially looking at the diagram you gave.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a possibility for another alliance, employment. It's
Active non-interference.
we ran into some other people trying to take the forge. It wasn't any of the orc forces. There was a contingent of the Dwergar that were there trying to gain access to the forge room.
His face goes stone. Understood. Continue your report.
We managed to talk to them, and they've backed off for now. They kind of weren't entirely knowledgeable about the thousands of orcs outside, and they seem to be rethinking that kind of whole numbers game. But we also have an opportunity for
70 units of Atlantis, yeah. Split it among 2
further
different times.
alliance.
Or however you want to do it.
There's one of them. His name's Galvin. He's at the forge with Kretha and everybody, and he
Suffered a fate worse than Dwerger death by us saving his life. Well, Echo saving his life.
I apparently
he looked like when. So again, I want to go moment by moment on facial expressions here. You say there's a Dwerger in the Forge of Fury, and he opens his mouth, his eyes go absolutely furious, and then Calder says, it was a fate worse than death, we saved his life, and it all flees, and he lets out just a belly laugh. So you decided, as you so often do, to show him mercy and take him in, which is a fate worse than fate worse than death for a Grey Dwarf. Is that right?
And like, as far as expressions go, Echo looks really taken aback by that.
Your Highness, you will note that we have a consistent code of ethics regarding prisoners, and I am afraid
yes, I would not expect you to abandon a poor Grey Dwarf to his death.
He is not. He qualifies. He's a sentient being capable of free will.
You are correct, of course. And you did well to leave him where he was rather than bringing him here.
I can imagine that only going terrible places.
I wish that I could say I was surprised that you've adopted another one.
I don't think he's gonna stick around very long, but
Nor
there is an opportunity.
Tell me more about the circumstances of his capture, please.
Arnon, the leader of the troop of Dwergar who were there, he listened to us, and he heard what we were saying about the orcs and about the full moon coming up, and he backed off. And he said that even if he trusted us and our words to be true, he would not trust a shield dwarf. But there would be a way to prove a level of truthfulness if you could talk to Galvin. Just have a simple, hello, this is my name, hello, that's your name. And then Galvin would be able to tell his people, Arnon and the rest, that he was able to have a conversation with you without blood being drawn. I think that would go a long way to improving relations with your neighbors.
He's essentially a one-shot guaranteed message from you to the Dwerger, as they have sworn, at whatever sense of honor they have, to hear him out. That way, then he will face whatever fate awaits him. Either he will wander off into the dark, return, or die.
And what else did you reveal to this Alden? Arnon. What else of our plans did you reveal to this gentleman?
that a large contingency of shield dwarves was inevitably coming to take the forge, and he did not have the means or the men to stop it.
Nor the means or the means to stand up to the orcs that were also going to make a huge push during the full moon.
And you revealed to him that our encampment would be under attack on the next full moon. Am I understanding you correctly?
No, we're pretty sure the orcs are heading for the forge. That's what we were talking about, them pushing into the mountain.
We
Okay.
made no mention of their lycanthropy.
Okay. You must understand, I'm sure this Galvin is a perfectly pleasant person, and I'm sure his superiors were, if not pleasant, at least cordial.
Oh, the opposite of that, but we understand.
But you must understand that Grey Dwarves are rarely their own masters. You must understand that whatever you revealed, you probably revealed to other prying ears. Who knows what was looking out this Arnin's eyes when you had your conversation with him?
I believe that they did have a drow observer with them.
They spoke of fighting to keep their people from being enslaved.
Of course they did. They were encountering you. They know how to manipulate surface dwellers.
And the one we were talking to was at the point more machine than dwarf, so if that gives you an idea of what his rank is in their society.
He had a different, it wasn't magic. It was almost like an echo flexes his fists and they kind of glow just a little bit. It's almost like what I do.
Yes.
It's weird.
The Grey Ones have a power of the mind that protects them against conventional magic and allows them to do such things as increasing their size and becoming invisible. This is very important. Is there anything else about me or mine, or this encampment, or what is to come, that you revealed to these Grey Dwarves? I must know now.
Your clan name.
Well,
and that you were shield dwarves?
I suspect
pretty much it.
that will be common knowledge before too long. You must understand, it is more than just myself and those closest to me that I am responsible for now. If we are ambushed by Dwerger while this attack happens on the full moon, I shudder to think. They rarely venture to the surface, but if they feel that I am in a weakened position, it is not out of the question.
I don't think...
Then, to that end, then, you should make contingencies to protect against such an attack just in case, but we will... But frankly, I need to speak with Sven because we have a means of carting a great quantity of your people to this place.
Excellent. Excellent. I was hoping you would. And this will bypass the Orcish army?
We activated the teleportation circle within the castle.
For the second time, you see a sigh of relief exit Barnabas's chest. Anton and Sven, and Ivan are still sort of standing next to each other and kind of side-eyeing each other.
It is at the moment untethered, but we can reconnect. But we could connect it to something.
Sven looks up and says, "Oh, yes, we could do so immediately." And he begins to encant. And
just right there.
Just right there, immediately he begins, and energy begins to swirl around his hand. And Barnabas says, "Sven, a little bit less enthusiasm, if you would."
Not in the middle of the war tent. This is a military effort.
Well, you've got to organize who's going to go, right?
Yes. And we should do so discreetly. We should set up a tent, something that's ideally attached to a cave or something that can, in theory, house a great number of troops so we can move them secretly.
I've been in this tent for some time. Someone tell me, how many more hours until the full moon? How many days until the full moon?
After today, there should be 2 more days, and then on the night of the 2nd is the full moon.
This is spectacular news. bringing the ability to access the forge now, does the forge, is it active? Is the forge in use?
There we have positive news. Durgadin now has reactivated the forge.
There's time yet to prepare. Understand, when you brought me the news that were creatures would be among those attacking us, we immediately scrambled for all the silver we could find, but silvered weapons do not hold up well in a fight. If we can make weapons of such quality that they can harm these creatures before they attack, it would be a great advantage.
Calder, as this is talking, as they have given the report of forge being activated and so on, he's trying to get a read off of Anton.
Anton doesn't like. Give me an insight check. I'm going to do that, but take advantage because you're his brother.
Okay.
Siblings.
Yeah, like you understand his nonsense. Wow, you have been rolling just absolute garbage all day today.
Apparently, Jesus.
He appears to be annoyed by the incredibly solid and steadfast warrior dwarf next to him, who keeps accidentally but not accidentally jostling him as he shifts from foot to foot.
Okay. I probably read that as he's holding something, but I have no idea what specifically what.
I think this is an excellent time. We seem to be at a bit of a lull.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a good time for us to take our break. And when we come back, we can head back to the forge.
Yeah.
Have a few more conversations, and then figure out what everybody is going to be doing for both the time up to the full moon and for the full moon itself. Make sense to everybody?
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Friends, if you are in chat, remember that at the end of every single one of our episodes, we do a sort of talkback show where we interact with you, we answer questions, we build lore, we do speculation, all that other great stuff. So please do stick around, and if you have anything you want to ask us or anything you want to say, questions, comments, anything like that, put them in chat. We will absolutely address them at the end. We're going to take 10 minutes. It's currently 7:47 p.m. Pacific, so we will be back. By the time I'm done saying this, it'll probably be 7:48. So we will be back at 7:58 p.m. Pacific time, where we will continue with our story. I hope you've been enjoying so far, and we will be right back.
See you soon.